They're like, don't do it alone. And I go, are you coming over here?
To find their seat, we'll call the meeting to order. You guys aren't kidding me, right?
I told him, I said, if it's not hers, I said, then we're gonna put it in the.
Oh, okay. Good. I'll give you refreshments for that. Okay, great. All right, we're going to call the meeting to order of the Morgan County Council for April 7th, 2025. We're going to start with the pledge and the prayer. Joe, you want to lead us in the pledge, and Vicki in prayer?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, let us pause and say thank you for all the things that we often take for granted. And dear Lord, we pray that you be with those who have been affected by these recent floods. We ask that they be safe and not much damage. And dear Lord, we ask that you bless the farmers as they're getting ready to begin their seasonal crop. Be with them, keep them safe. And dear Lord, we pray that you be with law enforcement. We know that they face scary situations on a daily basis, and even right here in our own hometown. And dear Lord, we pray for those who need healing, whether it be physically or mentally. And we just pray that you protect the children of the world. Amen.
Thank you, Vicki. Okay, we'll have the record show that all council members are in attendance this evening. So everyone receive a copy of the treasurer's report for February and March and the clerk's report for February and March. Dan, did you want to go over anything on that with us, like you did the commissioners, or?
Well, the report is what it is, and I just point out that I've been increasing the amount of money invested in CDs. We've increased it by, year to date by $57 million. The total is $86,555,000 that we've got invested in CDs. You'll probably see the interest earnings on the bank accounts is going to decrease compared to previous months simply because we don't have as much in those bank accounts as we've got more in CDs that are earning a little bit more interest. It's not spectacular right now, but it's still a little better than the banks. On a side note, and it has nothing to do with the investments, but tax bills were put in the mail on Friday, so people are going to start getting those probably as soon as tomorrow. And something I've been working with the banks here in the county. The First Merchants has for a number of years taken property tax payments at their bank locations. I'm working with BMO and Citizens, and we're close to getting it finalized where they will be accepting property tax payments as well. And I'm hoping to do the same with KeyBank. I'm not as far along with KeyBank as I am BMO and Citizens, but I think we'll get there with them also. That way, you know, all the banks that have a presence in the county, taxpayers will be able to go to and make property tax payments. Another thing we're going to add here, just outside of the office starting tomorrow, will be a box with some envelopes and a sign instructing taxpayers if they have their tax statement and they're paying by check. All they got to do is put the check and the tax statement in the envelope, put it in the box, and they go on their way. They don't have to stand in line for that. So hopefully that's something people will like when the lines start getting long, which I'm sure they will here real soon.
How are taxpayers made aware that they can pay at the banks?
That will be on the website, but I don't want to put that on the website until it's actually official. It already states that you can pay at First Merchants, but as soon as we have it in writing and have the procedures all in agreement of the procedures, then I'll be updating the website where notifying them of the banks and that they can pay at the banks.
So how will that work, Dan? When I go in the bank, I give them my,
You need to have your tax statement. They're only going to accept checks, no cash payments. Only cash payments you can make are at the treasurer's office. The pay by check at the bank, you have your tax statement, write check, the bank will give you a receipt, and the bank will transmit that information to us, and we'll post it to the
do they
tax.
charge a fee of any kind, the banks?
No, I don't, no, it's, we're creating, they may charge, may charge the treasurer a fee for the bank account. We haven't worked out that detail yet, but I'll be opening a bank account at each of those banks, and when they collect the money, they'll put it in the bank account, and then we will periodically move the money out of the bank account over into our general checking account. But they will, on a weekly basis, transmit to us the money, the collections they have made or taken, and we will take that and post it to the records. And this the payments that they make in the Dropbox, which is the same where the Dropbox across the street, now there's be one inside the building. You know, within 48, 72 hours, taxpayers can see that. If they go online, they'll see that payment that's been posted to their account. We're just trying to lessen the line, lessen the amount of time people have to wait in line. There is no need to wait in line. If you can write us a check, you got to have your tax statement. Have your tax statement. We're going to provide the envelopes, and they'll put it in the envelope and seal it up, put it in the box, and go on and do their business. But if you're going to pay by cash, you've got to come stand in line.
Which banks did you say that was?
The banks we're adding is Citizens and BMO.
What ones do you already have?
We have First Merchants. First Merchants has a location in Mooresville and Morgantown. And so those, but I hope to soon add Key Bank also.
Home Bank not taking part in that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about Home Bank. Yes, Home Bank's going to take a part. Thank you, Kim. We already got an account at Home Bank.
So we can pay at Home Bank also?
Not yet, but we'll get that finalized, and that will be.
Sounds good.
Good news.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions for Dan?
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dan. Did everybody get a copy of the March minutes for March 3rd, 2025? Everybody have a chance to review those? Look for a motion to approve the minutes.
Chip
Vicki.
Keller make a motion to approve the minutes.
Vicki Kivett seconds.
I have a motion by Chip Keller, seconded by Vicki Kivett. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Well, we got plenty of additional appropriations. I always say, let's get through March, the first quarter. We barely made it, did we?
Come on down, Mrs. Parker.
Hey, are you first for additionals?
I think so.
You get a mark for that.
Good evening, everybody.
Black mark.
All right.
All right, so in October of last year, you all allowed me to hire a part-time person to help in scanning all our old files prior to moving over here. In the budget, she's being paid out of the perpetuation fund, and in the budget, she's only being allowed to stay through May. So I would like this additional appropriation to take her through till we move over here. And that's the salary, the amount is the salary and the FICA that goes.
When's
Those
your
are the 2
projected
months.
date to move now? Still August?
Yes.
Oh, so this would be. a
And
check.
our office cannot close completely, which, Vicki, you know. So my plan is to have half of my clerk's office move, and then the other half, once they get settled and we open into the new Justice campus, then the rest of the girls will come over. The clerk's office cannot be closed.
How close are you to finishing this scanning process?
Very close.
So would
We
that,
have 2 rooms completely
you
done.
anticipate it, though, to be done before the move? Okay. Thoughts, comments?
Get her done.
But this additional appropriation, this is just so you can man 2 places at one time to just have extra personnel?
This is for my part-time person
Okay,
We had only approved it with funds up till May.
to May.
And she's saying that she would like to have that approved till August. And this additional, it's not going beyond that time period, though.
okay.
Right,
was-
she's
that
only
was
until we
assisted.
move.
So we're looking at 8,311.50.
And it's out of her clerk's records perpetuation, so.
Okay.
It's, her salary is coming out of perpetuation, yes.
So it's a grand total of 9,000. It's 8,311.50,
And
and then the
688.
FICA,
50.
688.50 for a total of 9,000. Which is what if we approve this, that's the amount the additional appropriation ordinance reads is 9,000. Anyone have
Any
issue or
questions?
comments on it?
Part-time after this, or
No.
is that just for when?
No, I won't. Once we move here, I will not need another, I will not need a part-time person at that point.
Joe, this was, they're trying to get a bunch of court records scanned before they move over, or otherwise she would have had to have a lot more space and shelving and all that, so.
And we got quotes for outside companies to come in.
Remember that, I was here
Yeah.
for those meetings.
savings.
Yeah. Your girls, they're working on weekends and everything,
Working
aren't they?
weekends, evenings, I'm working evenings, I'm not working too many weekends, but I do come in on the weekends every now and then, so.
We applaud you on the savings, and
Absolutely.
even with this additional for that longer
And
period.
I'm actually
it's still-
having some of my girls, I'm having all my girls scan also during working hours.
If there be no questions, Vicki Kivett makes a motion that we approve the additional appropriation out of 1119 in the amount of $9,000.
Melissa Green will second.
We have a motion by Vicki Kivett, seconded by Melissa Green. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you very much.
And that was, Vicki made the motion and Melissa
Melissa.
seconded. Did you get that? Okay.
We're all in attendance.
Yes, I gave her that earlier. Okay, so next up is Health Department Trust Account. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So yeah, we have a couple of projects going on with our septic division in environmental health. So these are those pesky trust and maintenance funds, the legacy funds, otherwise known as tobacco settlement funds. They've had like 8 different names. But this is what HFI, like the Health First Indiana funds, replaced. So the state is just asking that we spend down these funds before we utilize HFI funds for these types of projects. So that's why this isn't coming out of something that's already been budgeted for. We are just finding some of these types of projects to spend this money down. And this is something they've been wanting to do for quite some time. So they would get this GIS equipment. We'd have one for each of our septic inspector and permitter. So that would actually get us to, I think, 24 inches to know exactly where a person's actual septic system is. Right now, we're looking at some records from the 70s and 80s that say it's 20 feet away from the red car that's parked next to the oak tree in the driveway. So that's how they're trying to find some of their septic systems
Why
right
is
now.
that a problem?
And I know, right, so I'm sure the tree in the car is still there. But so yeah, so they're gonna work on trying to just GIS like map where the septic systems are. And then the contractual services would go toward, we're looking at a couple of different avenues to see how we could map that to where it would be like publicly accessible. So if I wanted to see exactly where my septic system was on my property, then I could just go onto this map. I wouldn't have to come into the health department. I wouldn't have to call someone, have them email it to me. Like I could just look it up. So that's what that's for.
So the 15,000 is to purchase the software and equipment? Is that what you're saying?
Yep, for both of those projects combined, to get it mapped onto a map system, and then to also get the GIS equipment would be a total of around that 15,000. We got this priced in 2024, and we're just now getting around to actually implementing the project. So I know that I increased what they had proposed because I know their quotes are no longer valid and have probably increased a little bit.
And my question is always, just history repeats itself, it seems like, but anytime we purchase software and equipment, then there becomes a subscription fee or maintenance fee, or there's something that comes along with that. Has that been looked into to see what those additional fees would be?
Yeah,
ongoing?
yep. So the GIS equipment, once you have that, it's to do the 24 inches. You can get more accurate than that, but it of course gets more expensive. It was $55 a month, $55 a month, so it was only like $460 for the year. And that's a cost that we would be able to use our HFI funds for in future. So that's something that we could put into there, and that's just contingent on if we actually spend down the trust and maintenance funds this year. If we don't, we can continue using those funds for these types of things as well.
Okay.
So am I looking at it correctly? There's about 94,000 that's projected to be left in there at the end of this year. I'm looking at so I mean, if our goal is to spend it down, then this is reasonable. So.
Yeah. We have a couple of other projects in mind that we would like to hit the ground running with. Once we would get more in place for that, we would come back for more appropriations later in the year. But that's just working on some plans with that.
So all you're asking for this evening, well, we've got these both listed though on this additional appropriation ordinance, so so I want to delve into this one a little more, so. In the second paragraph there, you said the nurse position and corresponding activities, trainings, this position has been transitioned to full-time and will be posted shortly. So this is the one we voted on last month?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then, because we've still left that other position that you were requesting on hold until we kind of see where we're at.
Yes.
Because things are looking crazy at the State House.
Yes, that's a good word for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I think that was on hold, at least until May, to revisit that. But then this nursing position, with what we currently have in this budget, it's had a lot of names as well, the crisis coag, now the school liaison grant, so whatever we'd like to call it. But with what we still have left in that line, I was looking at that extra 20,000 should get us through 2025 for a full-time position.
okay.
And then the contractual services, I'm looking at that 145. So what we've done with this, it was a project started before I got here, and I think it's a great project. They're working with adult and child, and then we're trying to also get in with Centerstone to place mental health counselors and therapists in all 4 different school systems. So between the Kendrick Foundation and the health department, we fund most of the positions that are from like adult and child, Youth First, and Centerstone that are in our schools that are providing those types of services to kids.
So when you say adding services, does that mean adding help or adding, or the people you already have in place?
Yeah,
doing
this
these
is really
things?
just continuing the current project that is already going. And then, so yeah, this was a fund that has been getting installments of $82,500 every quarter for 3 years. So it was a total of $990,000. We've spent down about half of that, and then we would still have, so what is it, Linda? The CDFA number changes, and then we'll have a new fund number for next year or whenever we spend all of this down. So we still have the last 2 installments of that came in 2024 will be a new fund, and I haven't appropriated that yet. I'm just appropriating the rest of what's left. Yes, well,
Okay.
yeah.
So-
We got it all before 2024, but yeah. So I'm just spending down what's left of this fund number for the rest of this year, and then we'll probably come back and reappropriate the next fund amount next year. And this is something that we are collaborating with the Kendrick Foundation, Youth First, again, Centerstone, Adult and Child, will have all of them in the room because the schools, we need to have the conversations with them to let them know, like, this type of funding is dwindling and going away. We know those COVID funds, we knew the COVID funds wouldn't last forever. So we're having those conversations with the administration and staff at the schools to just let them know, if you want to keep those mental health services in your schools, it will need to come from a different grant, a different type of fund. But this will, we tried to put together, we let these 3-year funds are gonna last us almost 6 years. So I'm pretty happy with how that kind of played out.
And you said this is the one that you said may not be filled with a nurse?
Yeah, so this one, they did have a nurse in it previously, but I have 3 full-time nurses. If we need to do vaccines at the schools, we can take them in for the vaccine portion, but the rest of what I want this person to be focusing on is gonna be more about the vaping, the tobacco, the exercise, the physical activity, the nutrition, like all of that good stuff with the kids in the schools. And then we also offer all kinds of different programs, the Stop the Bleed programs, the Safe Sleep, Safe Sitter, et cetera. So all of that gets offered to the schools. We just have a list that they can check off the boxes for whatever they're interested in at the time.
And the 20,000 to support that position, is that salary and benefits, or is that just salary?
Nope, that would just cover the salary. We already have enough in PERF and FICA and group insurance in the budget currently to take it through the end of this year,
Is that
I
how you read it,
believe.
too?
She said this was just an increase for making it from part-time.
To full-time, okay. But making it part-time to full-time includes adding benefits, so, yeah.
Yeah,
And
and
you
so
s-
for whatever reason, this budget already had it.
Okay, as long
So,
as you covered that.
we
I
were
just
set
wanna
for
make
that.
sure. Okay.
You said perf and insurance?
PERF, FICA, and group insurance are all on here already. Yeah. So we should be set. Oh, yes, thank you, Linda. So yeah, this person can be either nurse, they can be kinesiology, they can be nutrition, education.
What
they
rate
c-
of pay are you looking at on this?
Oh, what did we have
hourly?
on this, Linda? It was the,
The hourly for an RN is 36.022,
yeah,
But
it's a
we're not looking
PAT.
at an RN.
I think they're
though.
PAT 3s,
but she said it could change.
depending on how Wiz takes it, if I get someone who isn't a nurse. I mean, I think that I would push for them to get paid at that amount anyway, because they will be a part of my nursing division. And they're all gonna have 4-year degrees. I don't see a large difference in an RN versus someone who has a bachelor in science, a BS in any other type of degree, so I'm a little biased.
I like to know what it's gonna pay. I'm sorry, Doree, what did you?
I think it's listed as the 36. Are you thinking about the admin or the finance grants manager position? Okay.
Thoughts, comments?
That's what she's wanting to pay him, the 3602.
So we're looking at a total of 180,000 additional appropriation on this one, with the 15,000 and then the 165.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
Did we have questions? Did we have comments? Any?
I'm just worried that with what's going on at the State House, how long this type of money's going to be out there, and then what we would be faced to cut when it hits the fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing that I did with this funding is just making sure that we could have this full-time school liaison person through 2026, just with using school liaison grant funds. So it would at least be here for this year and a half. And then, of course, depending on what we get with the HFI funds, we should be able to continue that at least through 2027, and then we would wait to see what the next budget does.
A lot of unknown, though.
There's, will always be a lot of unknown, I think, in
Yeah,
public
this
health.
year
I
especially.
know. But, I mean, that's something that even when I worked at the Indiana Department of Health, it was, you're a grant-funded position, just know that you are not guaranteed anything beyond 2 years, and we all are kind of just hired knowing that. Not saying it's optimal, but we're all just kind of under that understanding, when you're in health, it comes and it goes, unfortunately.
Okay.
And it wouldn't go over that, but she told me
Right.
earlier it might come in under that a little bit, but not over.
Depending on what Wiz will work on me with. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, this is the one that last time you guys changed it from part-time to full-time.
Yeah, this all got approved in March.
Go on through 26 being a full-time.
Yep, in March. Yeah, so it's just the thought of is it acceptable to pay someone who's not an RN the same as an RN? And I would like to push for that because I don't see a difference in different four-year degrees. So that's my thought.
You think an RN would say the same thing?
Bring
I don't
down-
think so.
That's fine.
I mean, that's
Oh,
just
I
my
know.
perspective.
Yep. I'm a little biased, but I mean, kinesiology students kind of do a lot as well. We don't jab people, but we get a lot of things done.
No, I understand.
I know you do. What else can I answer?
So is this grant money that has already been given to this department from the state?
Yep,
So more or less, all this is you're just using the money they give you already that you have to spend.
correct. Yeah, it's already
Spend
here.
it
It's already in
down.
the auditor's office, and we are
But
just
there's no
spending it
guarantee
down.
those funds will be there.
Right, but I mean, it's guaranteed right now until 27. So, I mean, there's not
And I
much.
think she understands
Yeah,
that.
it's probably
Tricia
gonna end
understands
at-
that, right?
Yeah.
It's the first year.
Yeah, I think the Health First Indiana funds, for sure, have no
I think it's about
certainty
how
with
much we're
them.
going to pay the person too.
Oh,
Right,
Because if it's not an RN,
right.
why would we pay $36.02 an hour? I mean, I understand they have a degree, but we have a lot of people in the county with degrees that aren't
Sure.
making $36.02 an hour.
Mhm.
And work experience that aren't making $36.02 an
Yeah.
hour.
No, you're good. So I'm just curious, Drew,
Yeah.
you're hanging
Oh.
on the edge there. Do you have any thoughts? Do you want to, can I hear your professional opinion?
I think going along with Kim, it would probably depend on experience and then education.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you couldn't, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I have a 4-year degree, but I know zero about nursing.
Mhm.
And would not be able to do that if I wanted to.
well, I think she was meaning more or less like in those areas, those specific areas
So
too, though.
it might be something where instead of going to the midpoint, you start, we've done a couple jobs this way, you start at the low point.
Lower end
Mhm.
of
The
that
lower end,
band?
still within that category.
Yeah.
And in that pay range, but just not at the, and
Yeah.
then that doesn't mean that depending on what the job, how the job is done,
Mhm.
and if they're learning and willing to do everything that you're
Yeah.
asking for in the job description, then possibly you bring it up for the next budget cycle to be
Yeah,
taken to the midpoint.
that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
they prove themselves.
So
Yeah.
give us a low point.
Yeah, what's the range, Dury?
On a Pat 3?
That's not the document I pulled out.
Come on, Dory.
We just like to see you work, Dory.
Yeah,
Okay, Pat 2
on the
is
spot.
32.58.
Pat 3, right?
Well, no, I'm sorry, yes. So
Low,
we
low
need,
point of Pat 3.
hold on. I will have that for you.
That's Pat 3.
That's Pat 2, sorry. Let's see here.
If she agrees to go down to the lower, then I'll probably vote
Hold on, I actually have it right here.
if she understands it.
Okay. Tricia, you're gonna have to tell me. So you're looking at this line. I can't see.
I got you.
Okay, so there's
Pat
Pat 3.
Let's take a
And it
picture of this for the
too, it is-
newsletter.
Point.
It also depends on
Put 'em
the
in the general
hours.
fund or-
Right,
Because
They have
most
to
of
be
her,
used.
all of her staff except for her work 35 hours.
Pat 3 at the 18, 20 hours is 32.41. Well, so 59,000 for the salary.
32 point,
.4196.
That's a low,
Yeah,
right?
thank you. That's the low point. And the midpoint is 36.0218. High point is 39.624.
Thank you. I know.
Are you looking for an RN or no? Not specifically. Like if
We're-
an RN applied, that would be your preference if they fit everything that you,
So
Or
I
no?
think there's like a misconception with some of the curriculum with RNs. A lot of people look to them to do nutrition and physical activity and those types of things. They don't really get that type of training or those classes for an RN. They could save my life in an instant and do some things that I never want to see. So they have like an incredible skill set, but it's just very different. And I want this person to be more focused on the physical activity and nutrition side of things. Continuing to look at the health stats of our county, that's where a lot of our health needs to go, or a lot of our focus needs to go for improving those health metrics. So that's more so what I'm looking for. If an RN fits the bill and is willing to get some of those things like the health coaching, the certifications in physical activity and nutrition education and that type of thing, absolutely, would love to have them. If I get a kinesiology student who also learns more of the medical side of things, amazing. So that's what this position can be, all over the board, just as long as they have that skill set and they're willing to get those certifications within the first 6 months of hire.
what's it take to get those certifications? Is it online or?
Most of it, yeah. Just an online curriculum. Some of them might already have it. You get a lot of that in your 4-year bachelor's degree just while you're going through your training because you're already working with clientele whenever you're in that bachelor. Could go a lot of different directions, but
Questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion? No motion? Do you want to do each separate? It's all in one thing, so we might as well. I think it's all or nothing. Or we could
all in one motion, both of the,
can.
Have to though.
No, we don't
I
have
mean,
to.
maybe
We
there's
If we approve a
concerns.
portion of this and another, we just have to redo this ordinance. Because it's all on one here, but that's neither here nor there.
sorry if I've like, if I'm missing something, but we have to approve, or we have to, yeah.
It's got
approve.
2 requests. She's got the request for the 15,000, so we
Right.
can look at that first if we want to. So,
I'll make the motion to approve the appropriations for the local health department with that trust account 1206, in the amount of $15,000 for software and equipment.
I'll second it.
okay, we have a motion on the floor by Melissa with a second, was that Joe? And seconded by Joe for the 15,000. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That portion carries 7-0. Okay, now on to the $165,000 request, making a part-time position a full-time and additional support services to the tune of $145,000. And if-
Part-time position to full-time was already approved last month. This is just the additional funding to cover that.
Have to include something in there about like the pay band, or no?
All.
I personally think that if it's not an RN, it should not, that it should start on the low end. For a
32.
4-year college degree.
Would you like to make
Say this has already been sent to WIS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll make that motion, that we approve the $165,000 for, to include this person as full-time now. I would like to also note that we have an agreement to start them at the PAT 3 lower end of 3241. Is that the amount? Did I say that right? That's my motion.
Okay.
Keller will second that motion.
I have a motion by Melissa Green, seconded by Chip Keller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I oppose. So it passes 6-1.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's save that for later. Yep, okay. So, I'm going to move on to Emergency Medical Services Fund, which, add that number up, all those numbers, that totals 407,213, additional appropriation.
I won't move the microphone.
I can't make him do this because this is on my office.
Brent's like, okay.
Yeah, poor Brent.
We just wanted to see him sweat a minute. Have a chair, Brent.
No, you're fine.
If you'll all remember at the budget workshops, it was kind of at the 11th hour that you all decided to go back and reconsider the pay increases. And we had to go back through and recalculate all of those. I had the master helping with that. Dan, with the salary calculations have become very complex with all of the new matrix and the ranges that we have. And what you just did is a perfect example. We can't even say someone in a PAT 3 makes this because it depends on where you put them. So with the EMS, they have a scale depending on their length of service and experience. And normally, any of the departments that have a scale like that, we calculate them at the highest level so that we have plenty of money. But this one, unfortunately, got calculated at the lowest level. So Brent is going to come up short for the year. So that is why we are here. I've provided the budgetary financial statement, and the EMS fund after this additional appropriation would still have a 12/31/25 cash balance of $1,846,231 if all appropriations are spent.
Have you had the opportunity to go through the salary ordinance and make sure there aren't any other of these that are going to come back to bite us later in the year?
We have, and we did at the time that we did the budgets, and we were very pushed for time because of our deadlines to have everything uploaded into Gateway for the state. We did send all the budgets out, high priority to all the departments and ask them to look at them. But in Brent's defense, I mean, it was like 24-hour notice. We have identified a few little tweaks in some departments that hopefully, they're hoping they have enough money to transfer or, you know, having open positions and stuff that are taking care of that. So we have not identified anything like this.
Not to this degree.
No. And that's why I do hope the council will, next month, if we're able to have our meeting with the Finance Committee and Reedy Financial, I hope that the council will determine at that meeting what percentage pay increase, if any. I've asked Tyler to do just a calculation right now, just for an example of 2%. But I hope you will do that so that we can have all these calculations down and know what we're looking at when we go into the
Right.
budget workshops.
And Linda's
not
going to
have
be
so
in
much.
touch with us to try to get that meeting scheduled. And I know it's hard when you got 7 people plus support staff and things
When
to
you
make
do
that
get
work.
those numbers for those job listings per,
Mm-hmm.
will you get us a copy of those?
Yes, you will receive a copy. Tyler from Reedy, he'll come in, he'll go over all the numbers. Hopefully, we have an idea of what is happening at the state, and we can start a strategy.
I think we'll know something there potentially by the end of the week, I think, if not next week, but.
Yeah.
So is this amount going to carry it through the rest of the year? The additional
Sufficient.
$407,000?
Hope so. Yes, it should be.
Okay, good. Well, we have to fix it, so. Kim Meredith will make a motion to approve the additional appropriation out of 1151 in the amount of $407,213. Get it right, Kim.
Sprinkle will second it.
We have a motion by Kim Meredith, seconded by Troy Sprinkle. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Linda. You handled that well. All right. Josh, you going to talk to us about the Monroe Township EMS station?
Good evening,
Good
council.
evening.
So this is, if you remember, we negotiated with the developer out in the West Point TIF district, Raindrop LLC, to provide a $600,000 payment towards the county. Hendricks County did the same thing. We have received $200,000 of that, and we'll receive quarterly installments. So this is really just to allocate and appropriate the money that the developer put into this project for EMS in that area. It's limited to that use. We'll still receive another $400,000 plus interest over the rest of the year.
How much total did you say we're getting?
600,000.
600, okay.
And so for every other installment, we will do the same thing?
Yes, that's right. And we actually just got one today of another 100,000 that we'll have
This
to.
is for the EMS.
Yes, it's for EMS in the Monroe Township area.
Out on
And we
42.
just established this fund this morning at the commissioners' meeting.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Where is it exactly up there? Going to be built?
I can't tell you the address because it's like 1142 or something. I don't remember the
Well,
exact,
Is it east or west or east?
little east of town.
42.
Guy that worked on the helicopter.
Yeah, where the helicopter.
In Dead Man's Curve right there, it's on the right-hand side. The house has been tore down.
But we'll be there quickly now.
Huh?
I said, we'll be there quickly now.
Yeah.
This was for capital expenses to build the building.
Yeah,
It's-
for project and ancillary expenses.
And that, those funds were pledged by the developer out of West Point, up at I-70.
And for backstory, because not everybody will know this, there was a TIF district put in place, I think in the early 2000s. At the time, we had all of our TIF revenues pledged. Developer came back and said, hey, I would really like to restart this clock because nothing really happened here. So they did that. Both Hendricks County and Morgan County renegotiated with the developer and said, we will let you restructure this, but we all keep 50% of the TIF revenues. And developer, you have to give each entity $600,000 out of your proceeds. And
How was that amount determined, Josh, the 600,000?
the developer was willing to pay it. Yep.
Side. Very good negotiation there.
Yeah, that was very good.
Troy Sprinkle make the motion to approve the 200,000.
Brian Culp, second.
We have a motion by Troy Sprinkle, seconded by Brian Culp. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you,
Thank you.
Josh. All right, in our packet, we were also provided the redevelopment commission for the county's report, and that's required by Indiana Code 36-7-14-13. Had a chance to look that over, or anything, but we don't vote on it. It's just we acknowledge that we are in receipt of it. Okay, we have up next, Morgan County Sheriff Jail and Work Release Annual Report and Jail Inspection. This fancy document we all got.
You got a printed copy this year. Years past, sometimes emails get lost, and I thought this would be better to see it in physical condition. Then you got a digital copy as well.
Looks good.
Every year, we're required by state law to give you this report, as well as the judges and the commissioners. and, which we do so. And usually after our jail inspection each year is when that occurs. Usually I just send out an email and say, here it is, and good luck. But there's a few things I want to discuss on this one. And I try to put a lot of comparisons in this report too, to give you a snapshot of jail operations and where we was several years ago to where we are today, and even pre-COVID versus after COVID. So I did want to point out one of the very good positive things that we've done over the past 2 years. Valita Frischi was running our work release program for several years and built a great foundation with that and our community corrections program as far as the jail side of the community corrections program. And Eric Mulliken took that over about 2 years ago when Valita retired and has built upon the foundation that she started. And financially, we have started, the program has grown dramatically. So we went about 3 years ago, we was bringing in around $50,000 a year to this past year was $170,000 that we brought in.
Good job.
So the benefit to that is, one, we've grown that program to get folks working and built some partnerships throughout the community. Eric's done a great job with that, we have people paying their child support now, and they are being responsible. They're getting banking accounts started, and they are getting license back, and they're getting to be productive members of society.
Heading in the right direction.
And have some money in the bank ready to go to pay rent, and when they leave jail, they're ready to go. So so that's something that I think that we should all be proud of. And that also, I included some of the statistics here of those folks of when they come back to jail or whether they don't on the recidivism rate, and you'll see that those folks tend to be a little bit more successful than our average inmates when they leave. So it's one thing I wanted to point out. Another thing I wanted to point out was our residential substance abuse program, which is the RSAP program. Morgan County was one of the very first counties back in 2015, I believe, when jail overcrowding started to become a thing in Indiana majorly. And through that program, we got a $180,000 grant that was through the state. And we still have that grant today. We have lost some of that funding over the years, which the commissioners have funded through the opiate settlement fund. But we still get the majority of that funded through the grant through the Department of Corrections. And that program year to date is still at a 71% success rate for the folks that go through that. So we track that program for 5 years. So we keep track of those folks for 5 years. And then, if they're successful after 5 years, and we deem them to be successful out of that program. One of the good things and bad things I wanted to point out is the inmates processed into the facility. You'll see, which is on page 17, you'll see that number is a lot lower over the past couple of years. And this past year, it's about I think almost a 200-person difference, or 100-person difference. Which is a good thing, and our jail population over the past, since 2015, is reduced by 46%. We're one of the only jails in the state of Indiana that can say that we've got that problem, that we're not overcrowded, and we have reduced our jail population, and not by just releasing folks out of the facility, but by working with our community partners, court system, probation, community corrections. The prosecutor's office has been instrumental in dealing with that too. However, one of the problems that we are having is the amount, or we end up with a lot more folks that need to be in jail. So we've got more violent offenders, and we also have more mental health than we've ever dealt with. And we have became the inpatient mental health facility of the county, and every jail in the state of Indiana is facing the same problem. So you'll see on the remaining pages of 19, 20, which is your transportation health services, you'll see that even though our population's down and the amount of folks that we're booking in is down, the amount of services that we're providing is up when it comes to medical and transportation throughout the state. So those transportation costs is a lot of medical, mental health, doctor's appointments, and those type of things are all within that amount of distance that we travel. And this past year in 2024, we traveled 88,313 miles. So we went clear to, I know we've been to California at least 3 times this year in the past year, Texas, Nevada, Florida. So that's to pick up folks that's wanted on warrants that need to come back to Morgan County. And I don't think a lot of folks understand that the jail is responsible for getting those people back. So, so that's a little bit about the transportation side. Then health services and mental health, we've been able to keep our costs down with that, even taking over the operations that you guys helped us with last year. So that's been a good thing. Even though that we've had a major increase over the past couple of years in services that we're providing, we're still able to keep the cost down. The amount of staff this all takes is a lot. And I think the councilman that got to go to Vigo County got to see a facility similar size with almost triple the amount of staff. So I'm proud about the amount of staff that we have and our functionality versus what you got to witness and see there. But, you know, staff's very important to make this stuff happen and to keep it running efficiently and keep us from getting sued. And so that just kind of gives you a snapshot of our medical department as well and the amount of stuff they actually do. Another thing I'm proud of is our food service. We've been with Kelwell Food Service for, I want to say we're on our 4th year with them. We have not had a price increase since we've been with them.
Great.
So, and I'm proud to announce that we do not have one coming up this year.
Wow.
So they have been, even through COVID, was able to keep our prices at the original contracted price, even though they have had the capabilities of raising that annually. They have chosen not to do that, and they've been a great partner of ours. So, you know, our food service does fluctuate because we pay per meal, per inmate. But we have not been over budget on that. In fact, you've usually got money back at the end of each year from what we actually budget for that.
And they're still getting the same amount of food?
Yeah, there's no reduction in food. In fact, they get quite a bit of food. And our county actually pays a little bit more than the traditional food that they serve, just because I believe that it solves a lot of other issues. If you feed them well, then you don't get stuff tore up, and they are a little bit more happier inmates. So spending a couple extra cents per meal is well worth what it could cost you if you don't feed very good. So, so even at that, we're staying way below budget, still able to feed pretty decent and not have any price increases now for the 4th year. So something to be proud of as a county.
Can you give us a typical example what a tray would be?
Yeah, a good example. I mean, the best way I can describe it is school meals. So what you would have at school lunch: chicken and noodles and mashed potatoes, pizza, chicken sandwiches. They do like country fried steak type stuff with gravy. We don't really do beans and cornbread as most people think. They do have that periodically, but not.
Yeah, I like that.
Not like you would think that they do. I don't know that I'd want too much of that inside the building, actually. So we do have to work there. But yeah, it's pretty similar to school
That's
school
why I
food.
asked the questions.
Yeah. One of the ways they are able to keep our costs down is we don't buy a lot of pre-made stuff. So a lot of things are made by scratch. So that does help keep the cost down when you're not buying a bunch of pre-made patties and pre-made stuff. And then the last thing I want to touch base on, which kind of leads me into the jail inspection, is facility maintenance. As you've seen, that's a couple pages long, and that's what we're working on, that jail study, and we started some of those tours. The facility is deteriorating slowly but surely, and this past year I didn't really ask for a bunch of money because I need to kind of judge how many more years we're doing what we're doing and not overinvest, but keep things functional. So this budget year, I want you to be prepared that there will have to be some money invested into the building, but we're gonna try to be responsible with what that is, but there's gonna have to be some investment in there to keep things afloat, because I don't want it to get to a point that it's not in a repairable condition, and we're not there. But if we don't invest a little bit in there, it's gonna get there pretty quickly. Our doors are all starting to deteriorate, and that's gonna be our biggest cost. We're gonna have probably around 20 doors that are gonna have to be replaced this coming year. And those run, the last estimate I had was about $8,000 a door. So, but they're rusting out and deteriorated, and they're beyond repair, so. So that's a little bit about maintenance. You'll see the jail inspection is at the back side of that report. We've done great on our jail inspection, as we do every year. We never have any issues with that. He did notate, like I said, the building is starting to show its age really well. So there's some broken glass, which is just from the building settling. We've tried to work some things out. We've got some new strategies to try to come up with some cheaper ways of repairing that. Shields, locally, we've been using them, and they've actually manufactured a poly glass that's about a fifth of the cost of what an actual window costs us at the jail. So they've been manufacturing those for us as replacements to get us by, and they meet all the requirements that we need to have for all of our fire ratings and all that stuff. So Shields has been a good partner in that as far as glass goes. And then the other things, the plumbing is notated in here, and storage. As you can see, we've got a mini barn village outside the jail. It's starting to grow because we just don't have the space to store the stuff that we need to store on our maintenance supplies and just equipment and things that can't be stored inside the building as well. So those are really the only three things notated was plumbing, storage, and then just the windows. And happy to answer any questions you have. Other than that, I appreciate the commissioners and council's support throughout the years to keep us afloat and keep everything going well and keeping us staffed good, so.
You just continue to amaze me with your thoroughness and knowledge of that jail. I know sheriffs come and go, and you've been there a long time, and I would venture to say you're probably the most knowledgeable person about that facility.
A lot of lessons learned.
Good job. And I thank you for that.
I appreciate that.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Regarding that whole transportation thing. I can't get past that 88,000 miles. So give me an example of like why we went to California.
So we actually made 2 trips over there that I know just right offhand what those 2 trips were. We had 2 Asian gentlemen that came through our county about 2 years, I think it was about 2 years ago, that actually were contractors of their own for marijuana setups for states that it is legal in. And so you could contract them. They would come and get you set up for your marijuana grow. They got stopped here in Indiana and happened to be on 70 in our county, and had quite a bit of materials and product, and got prosecuted. But they were from California, lived in California, and so when it was time to come back here after they'd posted, and they did post bond and had approval to go back home, but they never came back. So that was a couple of trips.
So dumb question, do we drive and get them, or did we fly and get them?
Yeah, so flying is very tough because a lot of times we can't secure. Sometimes an offender cannot look like an offender on an airplane for obvious reasons, because it would make everyone else seem very uncomfortable. 2, it's difficult to get firearms onto airplanes, and some airlines will allow it, but it's ultimately up to the pilot. So you can also have those arrangements made and be approved to do so, but but the pilot has to know that's occurring. And if you get a pilot, so you've got your inmate, you got everyone arranged, the airlines approved everything, and then you're in California, you go to get on that airplane with your offender, and the pilot knows that you're armed, he's gonna say, not happening. And so he gets final say, so that can be very problematic and very cost prohibitive. So we don't fly very often just because that can be very problematic. The other options that we used to have that we did use, and it just became so expensive, is there's several companies that used to do private transport, so you could contract and they would go around the United States in buses and vans and pick up offenders and move them around the state. There's only a couple of companies that do that anymore just due to the liabilities that come along with that. And the cost has got so outrageous that it's actually more cost efficient for us to do it. However, it does take staff away from us, because when we're sending people to California, that's 2 staff members for over a week that they're gone, that we're also still doing our normal services here. And one other thing I want to touch base with those transports too, that's really escalated is medicated assisted treatment, which is MAT. And I know you're familiar with that. But so we don't use that programming at our facility. However, there is some court that have ruled that if we don't continue those services, if they're successfully on those kind of programs, an inmate, so you get arrested and you're at a rehab center in Indianapolis and you're getting MAT, which is methadone or Suboxone, we have to make sure that is maintained if you're still compliant on that program. So what we run into is on a weekend, and we have a partner that we partner with on a routine basis, so we load up the van, usually 2 of them now, because we've got almost 9 people on MAT that we take every week to Plainfield, and they get their dosing and we bring them back. But on top of those folks, you get 2 or 3 over the weekend from one maybe from Evansville, one maybe from Shelbyville, one maybe from Indianapolis. Well, we can't get them into our programming that quickly. And so we have to continue their programming wherever it's at. So we could be not only on Monday going to our normal program with 2 officers, with 2 vehicles, we could also be going to Evansville with 2 officers and an inmate, Shelbyville with 2 officers and an inmate, and Indianapolis with 2 officers and an inmate, on top of our normal court transports and court loads. So that's why I wanted to point out that we're very efficient in what we do with the staff that we have, with what you don't necessarily understand, and that number's in these, that medically we have to do it, because if we don't, we violated an ADA standard, and it's no different when we took a wheelchair from them and didn't provide that. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I scared you, didn't I?
He did, he snuck up on me.
I just want to expand a little bit on that too. What David hadn't talked about is, because of his foresight before I became sheriff, and before you probably were all in, well, some of you weren't here, seeing that the population was going up as soon as they built the jail, and working with you folks and the prosecutor's offices and the judges, he's got that population down to where we don't have to worry about being overcrowded like a lot of jails. My point to this is, we just went and visited Vallejo County Jail, which was just built this year. They just opened. And the day they were opened, they were overcrowded. So they are transporting 30 prisoners per day. So you think that mileage is bad. They are transporting 30 prisoners per day to other jails, bringing them back to court.
And paying for that.
And paying for that. So because of this man's foresight, working with you, working with judges and things like that, we have not had to worry about that at all so we're saving money that way also.
Yep. Does a good job.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate
thank
you guys.
And thank you for the report.
Yep, absolutely.
Any questions for these gentlemen?
David can sign that if you want to.
Autograph it?
Yeah, it'll be 8.5 by 11 glossy if you need it.
Yes. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. All right, we have next on our agenda is a salary ordinance amendment for the building inspector code enforcement in our planning commission. Laura, I've read through it. Looks like you got 2 guys doing the same thing with the same skill set.
Yes, and they don't travel to California. They stay right here within our county. So-
Yeah, there you go. Yet.
You keep it that way.
And technically, I'm not either, because I can absorb this in this year's budget. So that's really what the request is.
I get it.
To individuals.
My husband was a meter reader for 30-some years, and when he hired on, they had a chief meter reader and an assistant meter reader. But they actually did the same thing every month. It was like, but one read so many books this month, the other one read the other books, but they did the same job. So I get exactly. And my guy was the lesser paid.
He was the assistant.
He was the assistant, yeah.
Married him anyway.
Yep, yep.
You know, and honestly, we created the 2 tiers because we did have a huge disparity in years of service and experience when we created the second position. So at that time, it made sense. But obviously, both those people have left us. We've got new folks in place, and I'm so thrilled and lucky to be able to capture somebody, 2 that have ample
background and-
experience and can hit the ground running, and they've done a great job. And we've had a backlog, and they've cleared it in less than a week.
That's
So that's what this request is in order to do that.
Any questions for Laura? Hearing none, I look for a motion.
Brian Culp will make the motion to approve the amended hourly rate from $25.72 to $28.19.
Thank you, Brian. We have a motion by Brian Culp,
Sprinkle will second.
seconded by Troy Sprinkle. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks for
much.
bringing this to our attention.
Thank you.
All right, next up, last month we had the request from Linda for her cash fund account, and I think we all understood that, and so she's just gonna.
Does anyone have any questions? We purchased a small safe. We've had it installed in the office, so we do have a secure place to keep the money.
Was it total 500?
200.
200.
Not enough to take the money and run.
Yep.
Even 500 something like that. You
No,
get out
not
of the
anymore.
county.
All right, is this, and you gave me this resolution
2025-4-7.
4-7, so resolution number 2025-4-7.
Chip Keller will make a motion to approve that motion, or that resolution.
Brian
He
Culp.
go ahead, Brian.
Brian Culp will second.
We have a motion by Chip Keller, seconded by Brian Culp. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Linda.
I have a second request.
Yep, go ahead.
One of the part-time position, we had a recent hire this spring. She had never had any office experience, and she wanted to try it on and see if it would be a fit for her. She was great. She caught on. She did wonderful. But she came in and said, no, the office environment is not a fit for her. So I just need permission to hire a new part-time employee. It's a position already in the salary ordinance approved in the budget.
No changes to that. And I know we have set a rule that you have to come before us before filling, so that's why Linda's asking. But I know we granted some leeway on that with the highway department. So
And it does, you know, we have kind of reduced our staff. We gave up a full-time position and made it the part-time. Dan, the treasurer's office, gave up a full-time position and now has a part-time. The recorder's office gave up a position. If we have someone that suddenly leaves, you know, I told Kim this morning, we're meeting here April 7th, but if I have someone leave my office next Monday, I have to wait until May to ask permission. And that really does put a hardship on the office.
With this part-time person, if somebody leaves, can you move them to a full-time position and then?
That is the hope, that they would be in and they're training, they're learning, and then when a full-time position comes up, that they could move into it. But I still have to come and ask permission.
But sometimes people just want to work part-time because of their home situation. And
Yeah, some of them are happy and
yeah, they
content to
might
just
not
work part-time.
accept full-time. Vicki Kivett makes a motion that we allow her to fill this part-time position.
we have a motion by Vicki Kivett, seconded by Melissa Green. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries 7-0. Is there anything else that needs to come before the council this evening? We appreciate y'all being here. Oh, hang on. Yes. And I can't go? Oh. You got 4? Okay. See,
How
Don-
many? Is Haymakers not coming? So none of you are coming?
So we got 4, Don Adams has 4 tickets to the History Museum dinner. Jerry and me. All right.
If nobody takes them, we're sold out, so. Oh, but River Valley.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you. All right, Linda's got something for us before we head out. Go ahead.
Okay, we have the Finance Committee and Council workshop scheduled for May 13th with Ruby. Told me that night does not work. Deb gave me some alternatives. We're looking at May 21st or May 27th, maybe?
Tell us what days these are.
I cannot do May 27th.
21st is a Wednesday, 27th is a Tuesday. I can,
I'm not able to be there. We're going to be in Mexico on a mission trip.
I can't do evening meetings on either of those dates.
I can do May 21st. I can't do May 27th. I'll be in Grand Rapids on a business trip.
You have
Wednesday.
4 or 5 committed for May 21st?
I'm committed.
I can't.
One more?
Do it if I don't have a softball game.
Okay.
What about Mr. Sprinkle?
Troy, you good on 21st? Okay, we'll have enough there. We'll have 4 or 5 there. Better write that down.
First,
The 21st?
Fine meeting to, May
Yeah.
21st at 6:30? May 21st at 6:30. Is it upstairs or in here? or-
It will be in here.
It'll be in here,
We have to
okay?
re-record- we have to record it.
Oh, that's right, okay. And then don't take off because we've got signature documents. But if there's not anything else to come before the council this evening, I look for a motion to adjourn.
Brian Cope will make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Brian Culp made a motion, Melissa Green seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. And our next meeting, when is our next meeting? May the, I always like to tell that, I can't remember. It'll be the 5th.
May 5th.
Cinco de Mayo. Are we doing?